Fire and fury if necessary. But not necessarily fire and fury. That's the message delivered by a top United States military officer about the North Korean nuclear threat. The president's direction to me is to create the conditions for diplomacy to work by being ready, militarily, all the time, John Hyden said Saturday morning during a panel discussion at the Halifax International Security Forum. We are ready every minute of every day to respond to any event that comes out of North Korea. That's the element of deterrence. It has to be clear, and it is clear that if he, Kim Jong-un, goes down that path, it will not end well. My goal is to create the room for diplomacy and sanctions to work. Moshe Yaalon, former Israeli defense minister, said diplomacy had little chance of success without the threat of war. In order to have peace, you should be ready for war, said Yaalon, repeating an old saying from his country. In order to really deter your enemies, you should demonstrate determination, political stomach or whatever in order to be ready for war. What we have seen now, watching from the side, is irrational players and an exchange of irrational words from the American side. Despite President Donald Trump's bombastic statements about bringing fire and fury down on North Korea and his little rocket man taunts aimed at leader Kim, Hyden said the president cannot by himself change Kim's behavior. But President Trump can create the conditions that the international community can reach out in different ways, where we can work with the Republic of Korea, where we can work with our neighbors in the region, we can work with China, and we can work with others to try to find a solution, said Hyden, commander of U.S. Strategic Command, one of 9 commands unified under the Defense Department. So, we are going to keep every bit of pressure that we can, and we are ready to respond right now at this moment. Bonnie Jenkins, an expert on arms control and non-proliferation of weapons of mass destruction who has served as legal advisor to arms control negotiators, worried that the warnings and the threats from both the U.S. and North Korea are exacerbating the tense situation. Clearly the environment right now is not one where you can have diplomacy, Jenkins said. We need to ratchet down the rhetoric and create an environment where you can have these discussions and we can bring in other partners. Jenkins suggested bringing other countries, like France and Germany, from outside the East Asian region to kickstart new discussions on how to defuse North Korea's aggression. Living in the shadow of the nuclear threat, Sung-Han Kim of South Korea said diplomacy is only one option for his country. Until now, we haven't come up with any kind of a solution, said Kim, an international relations professor who formerly served as a vice minister of foreign affairs in South Korea. Kim referred to a joint declaration signed by the two Koreas a quarter of a century ago not to test, manufacture, possess, or use nuclear weapons. We have been trying to keep the promise, Kim said.